Divorce Diaries Day 280, and every year I do a little post on my Facebook about some of the favourite movies that I've watched this year, and I thought that could be a fun activity that I could bring over here to TikTok. So I know I'm probably about a month too late because we're almost into February, but here are my favourite movies that I watched for the first time in 2025. And there's 12 of them. Why 12? Because why not? First off, we got Manchester by the Sea. So this is a movie that is effectively about grief. It follows the story of what happens after someone passes away and all those painfully awkward moments like, sorry, this person passed away, here's a bag full of stuff he had on him. What day would you like the funeral? I don't know. Where should we do it? Oh, I'm not sure. One moment you're cringing, the next moment you're crying because the whole time you're following the story of someone who hasn't processed grief from an earlier event and is having to deal with this event, doesn't want to be there and just can't cope with everything going on, and it's a hard watch. It's a hard watch. But I loved it for the rawness of it. Following that, we have Lawrence of Arabia. This is a 1960 film and it is so epic, and I mean that in like the literal sense. There are so many shots of just the big empty desert as you follow the story of one quirky white man who's trying to stop civil war in the Middle East. There are some aspects of this that haven't actually aged well, like Alec McGuinness, who played Obi-Wan Kenobi, who's dressing up with brown skin and a fake nose and putting on an accent and pretending to be Arabian. But overall, I was very surprised by this film. It does cover the trauma of war and the weight of rebellion and etc, etc. Next up, we have Hateful Eight. One of my favourite genres of movies is just people chatting in a room because you really have to have a tight dialogue to make it interesting. Otherwise, you're just watching people chat. This is a Quentin Tarantino film. He has a certain way of writing dialogue, which I really gel with. I know some people don't, and this was a great example to let him shine, and I loved it. And it's so bloody, despite the fact most of it just happens in a single cabin. Following that, we have American Beauty. I had a hard time putting to words what I love about this movie. There's a scene where someone says, I would rather die than be ordinary, and yet nobody in this film is ordinary. The whole point is that everyone's putting on a facade and pretending to be normal, when in fact they've all got so many issues. Next up, we have Bring Her Back. This is a horror movie, and it follows the story of a couple of kids that get put into foster care, and it does a lot with like that weird power dynamic of someone who is not necessarily taking the kids for the right reasons, but on top of that, it has some absolute gruesome possession stuff going on. Oh, the knife scene. Every time I think about it, I get goosebumps. It's a 10 out of 10 horror film in my eyes. Following that, we have Gone Girl. Here's a hyperbolic take on a manipulative relationship. It's kind of hard to talk about it without spoiling it, but the way that it's set up to play on our prejudices, you know, like if there's an abusive relationship, we always assume it's the guy, and she takes advantage of that to make this giant story, and it's just, I don't know, it had me hooked. Next up, we have The Departed. This is like, it's a one big game of cat and mouse, only both cats are pretending to be mice. Yeah. Oh my god, this is an absolutely thrilling ride. It's a versus game of criminal organisation versus the police, but you never know who's on whose side, and it's just thrilling all the way through to the end. We then have Sinners. This is a bit more of a fun horror movie, another play on vampires, and it's quite intense, and the way it plays on like their places in society and the music scene like halfway through, oh my god, I loved it so much. Finally, we have Man from Earth. This is another one that's just a bunch of people arguing in a room, but it looks like it's made on a budget of like $12, and $10 of that was to hire Tony Todd. This is effectively one big what-if scenario. What if someone was immortal? And it's just putting a whole bunch of people pretending to be college professors in a room and just chatting it out. And I thought it was really thrilling. It's a sort of like late night conversations when you had a few too many. Next up, we've got The Substance. And I could say so much about this film. You take a beautiful woman like Demi Moore, you put her in a situation where she's turned 50 within the movie, and suddenly she feels like she's not valued anymore, and that, you know, she's not being looked at the same because of her age. There's one scene where she's getting ready for a date and she keeps changing her hair and her makeup and her clothes, and every time she looks in the mirror she's unhappy with what she sees. It's just, oh, it's fantastic. And they take that and they turn it into a body horror film. So it's not necessarily scary, it's just a bit gross in the way that, what if you could take a drug that would make you younger? And what effect does that have on a person? Next up, we've got Requiem for a Dream. This is another really hard movie. It's one of those fantastic movies that I've watched once and that's enough. Yeah. You get to watch all these people who have dreams, and all of that dreams just get consumed by their addiction to drugs. And I mean, one of them again is an older lady who just wants to be seen, and her downward spiral is just, it's all so intense. If you want a PSA on why not to do drugs, watch that movie. And finally, we have my favourite movie that I watched last year, and this might be one of my new favourites of all time, and it's Interstellar. Come
on, Toss!
When you boil it down, this is a movie about a father who would go to the ends of the galaxy to do what it takes to make a life for his kids. And I cry every time I watch it. I've watched it a few times now. The ending just, oh yeah. You might have noticed only a few of those movies came out in 2025. I'm behind the ball game, okay? I'm trying to catch up. But if you've got a favourite movie that you watched last year or you watched recently, let me know, especially if you've got any recommendations based on the things that I like. Which tends to be heavy stuff. Thanks for listening, and I will catch you on the flip side.